presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Blackboard. We are Florida.
A glorious afternoon in Washington, D.C. as the Marlins and the Nationals finish off a three-game series, and it's been lopsided so far. Jeep presents the Marlins and the Nats afternoon baseball, 4 o'clock start. Miami in need of a win. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz along with Todd Hollinsworth. Yeah, it's been Nationals big in the first 2 games, despite last night Giancarlo Stanton's 51st home run. The Nationals have shown why they are the best offensive team in the National League, and for Adam Conley, it's a tall order today.
Well, it certainly is. This Washington Nationals lineup has been rolling in both games, first 2 games of this series, the entire lineup. Everybody got a hit. And guess what? It's not the same lineup. It's not the same 8 guys. They've been flipping in guys. Worth was in there. Trey Turner came back last night. They're getting it done offensively. You see Conley right there. Good numbers on the road. That 2.88 ERA, impressive stuff. He does not have good career numbers against the Nationals, but I'll tell you what, that slider has been a big pitch. A couple of starts ago, it was huge for him. It's going to be a big pitch for him again today.
Off the disabled list, and in his 2 starts since, Steven Strasburg has been almost unhittable.
Yeah, he really has. Good numbers since coming back off the disabled list. The one thing that really stands out, at least in my eyes, is that he's only been okay here at Nationals Park. ERA over 4 in 7 starts this season. But again, we're talking about Steven Strasburg here. He typically racks up some strikeouts, and he has very good history against the Marlins.
And we are not forgetting Giancarlo Stanton. This is the Stanton portion of the Open. G taking batting practice today. Look at the numbers against Strasburg.
Yeah, and they speak for themselves. I don't have to sell anything on this one. 366 batting average, 3 home runs. He has some of the best history. Guess what? So does Marcell Ozuna, but Stanton is the topic of conversation. He has been getting it done, 51 and climbing. I'll tell you what, he's feeling pretty good going up against Strasburg even today.
And getting a win is the topic of conversation in Miami's clubhouse. They try to salvage a game from this 3-game set against the first-place Nationals. First pitch, moments away in D.C. Sports Florida is brought to you by the all-new Jeep Compass. By GMC, we are professional grade. By your local Toyota dealers, let's go places. And by Southwest, transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Nationals Park, lots of rain and a chilly night last night. In fact, Stanton's 51st flew out in the rain with a big splash, 440 feet. Now, here's the history. We go back. Strasburg, Stanton, that's 2012. This is 2013. That was in Miami. That was opposite field. And back in Miami in 2014 on Jackie Robinson night, Stanton lost one to center field.
I'll quickly give you the Auto Nation scouting report. Steven Strasburg, 6'4", 235 pounds, 29 years old. My goodness, he's getting old quick. At least it seems like it. He's been around a while. All right, here you go. Familiar foe, certainly is. Three-time All-Star. Surprisingly, he hasn't gone past 200 innings once in his career, but he has faced the Marlins an awful lot. 143 innings against the Marlins, 13 wins, most versus any major league team. 13-6 with a 3.46 in his career. Home woes, I mentioned it in the open. He's got a 4.13 ERA here in Nats Park this season, so that kind of stands out a little bit. Of course, he's been good over his last two starts. And the one thing that really stands out, of course, with any ace, ahead in the count and behind in the count. When Steven Strasburg is ahead in the count, check this out, 102 strikeouts and a 141 batting average against. That's ridiculously good. But when he's behind and he's using his fastball more, 297 batting average against. You know what the goal is today.
Count's even here. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. The breaking ball gets the first strike against D. Gordon. 4 hits for Gordon in the series. Lots of action on the bases as well. But not enough for the Fish. They've dropped a couple games by big margins. Strasburg misses outside. 11-2 was Monday night. Last night, 8-3. And last night, the Marlins had plenty of opportunities, leaving the bags loaded a couple times. 2-1 pitch coming to Gordon. Shortens the bunt, drops it down. Charging there, Rendon fires to first. Gordon safe. And D. Gordon with a bunt single. And here comes Stanton. Rendon did all he could. Gordon legs it out. Southwest brings you the rest of Miami's lineup. Gordon, Stanton, Yelich, Ozuna, Real Muto, Dietrich, A.J. Ellis, Miguel Rojas, and Adam Conley. You see how hot Christian Yelich is. Southwest bringing you the lineups. And here is Stanton facing Steven Strasburg. This ball game just underway. Stanton 1 for 6 in the series. That one, of course, home run number 51. Outfield straight up deep. 3 infielders on the third base side. First pitch a strike. The fastball at 94. So as you pointed out, now Strasburg pitches from in front of the count.
That's exactly right. Certainly what he's looking to do. 49% of the time he's going to lean on that four-seam fastball. Of course, has the big curveball, and it's one of the best in the game of baseball. But here's the thing. His changeup statistically has been even better than the curveball this year. So keep your eye on that today's ball game. You may even see it against some of the bigger bats in the middle of the Marlins lineup because it's been such an effective pitch. 27% swinging strike rate at the changeup.
Early in his career, Strasburg did not control the running game. Last few years, though, he's been very good at it. Base stealers just 4 of 7 this year in Strasburg's 22 starts. Gordon runs, then comes back, and this pop-up is in foul territory. Zimmerman is there. And looking up into the sun, he makes the catch. Here's the defense for the Nationals today.
Behind Steven Strasburg, you've got Kendrick in left field. Michael Taylor gets the start in center, and Jason Worth back in there after a day of rest in right field. Rendon, Trey Turner, Depot, Zimmerman. Lobatone gets the start behind the plate for Steven Strasburg.
Dusty Baker and the Nationals are just cruising as they have all season long atop the National League East. 80-51. Now the Marlins have played well lately. And so have the Nationals. Nationals have won 16 of their last 23. And of course, Miami has lost 2 here, but they've still won 13 of 18.
The Nationals 9-6 versus the Marlins this year. I don't like to use the word must win, but I definitely think it's got that feel. Nats didn't take batting practice today because the Nats are getting ready to go to Milwaukee. They're getting ready to go out on the road. Marlins obviously coming home. They did take batting practice today, in fact.
That's a good place for the Nationals. Go play the Brewers for a while. Milwaukee in front of Miami in the wild card chase. Gordon leaning, and he's chased back. You got Jose Lobaton behind the plate. Gordon with that mouthpiece that he wears sticking out. Lobaton has got the white mask going. And sunglasses. It shows you just how bright it is for everybody here, whether you're in the field or at the plate.
Well, Lobaton's thrown out 5 of 34 this season.
Gordon runs, good jump, fire to second, and with a head first slide, he's out. The second base umpire, Jim Wolf, says Gordon came off the base. He had the throw beaten, but apparently he came off the base.
We're gonna have to take another look at this one.
Oh, it looked like he did. It looked like that left foot came right off. Turner holding the tag. That's certainly from instant replay, but he knew that if that foot got off, and so that goes as a caught stealing.
Well, only the 6th one of the season for Lobaton. He's not been very good at throwing out runners. Did have a good year a couple seasons ago, but this season not so much. That empties the bases for Christian Yelich. Here's one more look. D's hand definitely beats the tag. Hand still on. Here comes the foot.
Foot's off right there. Gloves on him now. You see D going back to the base there. And it's 1-2 now to Yelich. Having watched what we've watched of these Nationals this week and then the season, the Marlins can ill afford mistakes if they want to win a ball game here. Because every time the Marlins in this series and this season have made a mistake against the Nationals, it cost them either an opportunity or a run.
Well, the opposite effect for the Nationals, particularly on offense. They seemingly have taken advantage of the mistakes the Marlins have made and certainly cashed them in with all of their run producers. Watch that over the last 2 games.
Yelich rolls it to first. Changeup, and Strasburg pitches around that leadoff hit. the district this afternoon. Nationals lineup brought to you by Southwest. Trey Turner's second game back off the DL. Wilmer Defoe has been a thorn in Miami's side, and he's hitting right now for sure. Anthony Rendon moves up to the 3 spot. Ryan Zimmerman at first. Howie Kendrick has hurt the Marlins this year. JAYSON WERTH hurt the Marlins the first game out. You got Michael Taylor and Jose Lobaton in that lineup before Strasburg hits in the 9 spot. And this is Turner, the Lake Worth native, North Carolina State star, an emerging star here, just off the disabled list, a fractured wrist hit by a pitch. He was 1 for 4 with a double last night.
Yeah, missed 51 ball games.
Adam Conley, as usual, working quickly.
That's how he likes to get it done. All right, 8.22 ERA. That's in 5 career starts versus the Nats. We'll throw that out. We're not going to pay attention to that. Last start versus the Nats, he took the loss. 5 innings, 11 hits, 5 earned runs.
Ball in the air. You can hear Gordon call for it, and D is there, and he makes the catch.
Won't worry about that either. Good numbers in July, struggled in August. His road numbers going, 2.88 ERA on the road. All right, here's your Marlins defense for today's ball game. Ozuna, Yelich, and Stanton, Dietrich, Rojas, D. Gordon, JT Realmuto gets the start at first base. A.J. Ellis behind the plate. Adam Conley on the mound.
Was looking for Forrest Gump in that shot.
Comes streaking across, right?
Yes, Forrest. Defoe against Conley. It looked like after that play that D. Gordon was calling into the dugout for glasses. The flip downs is what he's looking for, and I think the Marlins have them. Now getting him out to him. Bat Boy's got the glasses in his hands. Oh, 2 to Defoe. And Conley misses up. Defoe a liner into left field, and the Marlins can't get this guy out. He's 4 for 8 in the series, including a double and a triple.
Now got an 8-game hitting streak, and now is hitting 21 of 24 ball games. Came into today's game hitting .323 versus the Marlins. Gets a 2-strike pitch. This can be trouble. Hopefully it's not a smoke signal right now. 2-strike pitches for Conley. The inability to put away hitters sometimes can do him in quickly. That changeup was up. Defoe all over it, lined it into left field.
Anthony Rendon, who is having a terrific year, he's been sitting in the 6 spot or the 5 spot, but he moves up this off day for Daniel Murphy. Rendon in the 3 position. He has those type of numbers this year. He's got 3 hits in the series. He's driven in 5 runs. Had that big 3-run double last night.
Well, if you're a believer in WAR, Anthony Rendon's your guy. He's leading baseball with a 6.3 WAR value, according to Fangraphs. It's first in Major League Baseball.
So what do you make of that? Do you say then that he is the most valuable player? Since,
no, I don't.
Since he has the highest WAR?
I mean, I certainly acknowledge and recognize the value of the WAR statistic, and I do find that it's appropriate to gauging, but I use it, I guess, in more of a collective value than I do in an isolated one, meaning looking at him and saying, okay, he's better than everybody else, because I don't think that's really how it works. You know, I look at a team and how a team operates. You made the point right off the top. I just told you he's got a 6.3 WAR value. Well, then why is he hitting 6th? You know, I mean, I think there's a lot of good questions that surround it. I mean, if you're going to hold a popularity contest, is he getting vote number 1 on this team?
Yes, but the most valuable player award, that's right. Part popularity, well, that's part again, statistics.
What I'm getting at, right? So most people around the country are like, well, wait a minute, what are you, Bryce Harper? I mean, he's having a fantastic season again. He won it a couple of years ago. Well, what about this guy? Well, he's having a great year too. It's just, maybe it's a little bit more quiet, anonymous. Shouldn't be, because he's having a fantastic season, but it's just done differently. It speaks to what the Nationals are all about.
Two up the middle and hit hard into center field. Yelich charges Defoe to second, and that's it. And Rendon with some hard contact and a base hit. And here comes Ryan Zimmerman.
Now another 2-strike pitch. Just hit hard back through the middle. 2 consecutive hits against Conley. We mentioned throughout this series, we haven't had a such a superstar performance. Although Rendon had a huge game last night, I guess, in terms of the big hit, the double in the gap that cleared the bases. My point is this: both nights, the entire lineup had hits against Marlins pitching, and it's kind of got that vibe already here in the first inning. They haven't launched home runs. They just kind of put this all-out, full-court press on the Marlins pitching staff.
Well, if there's a team that offensively can put a full-court press on, aside from Duke or Virginia or somebody like that, it's the Washington Nationals.
Sure.
Their numbers are just jump off the page. Zimmerman swings and misses. They lead the National League in just about every important category: slugging, runs, on base plus slugging, extra base hits, third in on base, 6th in homers. And even with Harper out and Murphy getting the game off, it's still thick with hitters and thick with danger, regardless of who the starter is. Ryan Zimmerman, 33 career home runs against the Marlins, most among active players. And one of those 33 was here a few weeks ago against Adam Conley.
Yeah, he leads the Nationals in home runs and RBIs going up against the Marlins this season, so no surprise here. Zimmerman steps in and he's got 4 home runs, 12 RBIs.
Defoe at second, Rendon's at first. Just underway and scoreless. And Conley with a count 1-2. Adam Conley, 27, Olympia, Washington. Had a terrific career at Washington State. Was a closer there for a while. Wanted to be a starter. Marlins took him in the 2nd round. Rose through the system. He's had his ups and downs this year. A little buzz of the tower there. Working with A.J. Ellis in the ball game. Remember, JT Realmuto is at first base. Zimmerman to left. Ozuna's back at the track, has it. Tagging is Defoe, and he's racing for third. The throw goes into second. Rendon back to first. So a warning track shot by Zimmerman. Here is Howie Kendrick. Now Kendrick finds himself in the 5 spot, and a year or 2 ago you would have thought that's ridiculous. Howie Kendrick in the 5 spot?
Well, I think he's kind of your prototypical, maybe, what, I don't know, number 2 hitter, if you will, and I think that makes some sense. Well, he's hitting 400 with runners in scoring position this year.
Look at the numbers.
Yeah, he's 20 for 50. That's not a small sample size. Those are really good numbers.
Now,
and 353 against lefties.
Now he was with the Phillies, and once the Nationals got him, he's at 344. So he's really gone off in a short stay with the Nationals.
Well, Rich, he is actually their most dangerous hitter in the lineup since arriving. I mean, that's what's so interesting. Howie Kendrick has really just forced his way onto the field. Remember, when they acquired him, it was the idea that they were going to bring him over and give him a few at-bats, and maybe he would help with some of the injuries they were dealing with. He's turned himself into an everyday answer.
And he has worn Miami out. He's hit a couple of home runs. That one fouled back. And he's 15 of 32 against the Fish. I mean, this guy just showed up, and that's the impressive thing about the Nationals record. Yeah, look, the Dodgers may win 116, 117 games. The Nationals have had so many key guys out, but the contributions they've had from Defoe, from Howie Kendrick.
Definitely have some veteran offensive players.
Swing and a miss. That's a big strikeout for Conley, who gets out of trouble here in the first. To a Wednesday showdown driven by GMC. Washington, D.C. Marlins and Nationals. Nationals had runners at the corners. Did not score in the first. The Marlins had D. Gordon at second base, but only for an instant. He stole second, overslid the bag, and was tagged out. That was the end of that threat for the Fish. So Marcell Ozuna against Steven Strasburg.
Marcell, he too has very good numbers against Strasburg. There you go, 355, a couple of home runs. He's reached base in 16 consecutive ball games. He has been on fire. 368 batting average during the stretch. 0 for 4 last night, did draw a walk.
Ozuna rolls one over the middle, just over the bag. Defoe playing second. Whistles one to first in time to get Ozuna. So an out, here comes JT Realmuto. We'll see if today maybe JT Realmuto busts out. He's at first base. He's had success when playing first. You could see him chatting with Lobaton and Sam Holbrook as if to say, hey, I miss you guys. But I'm having fun at first base.
JT he's hit a few balls hard in this series. He run into some bad luck. 0 for his last 8, obviously. 0 for his last 17. I was just going to leave the series, but since we're going to take it all the way out, 0 for 17.
Realmuto smacks one to right. Back goes Worth. Got turned around. It's over his head. Bangs off the wall. JT racing for second. Worth having trouble, and Realmuto stops there. That's a one-out double, and maybe this playing first, there's some trick to it.
Well, maybe those legs, they get a little bit of a breather on a day where you get to play first base as opposed to catching. He drives it over Jason Worth. This is a great swing. Elevated fastball. We've seen him do this. So you turn your head right there and you pick up your third base coach. He tells you to pull up on the range right there, and you step back on second base. As soon as you get past the point where you can read it yourself, you got to pick up your third base coach. JT did exactly that. Pretty wisely and him pull up at second base.
One of the reasons Freddie stopped him is Defoe was the cutoff man. He's a shortstop. He's got a great arm. It's funny when a third base coach in the big leagues walks out for a game. He's got a scouting report not only of the outfielders' arms and their range, but also infielders and how they throw on relays. Andrelton Simmons is the gold standard for that. You really have to be careful with him. But I think Defoe on that side of the diamond, we've seen him at shortstop, and he has a very strong arm.
Good sign from JT Realmuto on that double the other way. I was thinking back to the Philly series when we were talking about him struggling a little bit, and that's pretty much how he busted out in that game, was driving a few balls the other way.
One and two. Dietrich 0 for 5 in the series. Realmuto from second. A little flip out in a shallow left. And Kendrick, with the sun shining off his glasses, makes the catch. 2 outs.
Tomorrow is Wellmax Senior Thursday at the park. Fans 65 and older receive a complimentary ticket to see the Fish take on the Phillies at 7:10. Valid ID must be shown at Marlins East ticket office for redemption. For more information, visit marlins.com/promotions.
A.J. Ellis now against Strasburg. Ellis 9 at bats, 2 hits against Steven Strasburg. Ball in the dirt, but not far enough for Realmuto to advance. So it's 1-0. Ellis behind the plate, Realmuto at first.
Marlins 15 and 12 when AJ starts behind the plate. 370 on base percentage his last 18 games.
Pop up, Zimmerman, Defoe, and it's Defoe who makes the catch, and Strasburg pitches around the Realmuto double. in Washington, D.C. Now, the Marlins outfield has been together a long time, and they've been starting together here for a nice stretch. 20-game stretch. All time, 26 times in a row is the record. That was back in 2014.
Well, I think that's going to get eclipsed this season and this run in which you're watching right now. This is a Marlins team that's pushing for the playoffs. You've got 3 hot bats. Yellett's swinging it really well lately. Obviously, Marcell Ozuna and Giancarlo Stanton have. You may see that the rest of the way.
I asked Don Mattingly yesterday about the outfield because he's able to give infielders off days. Gordon at second, Rojas at short, even Dietrich at third. Real Muto, he's able to put it first, gives his legs a bit of a day off. So I asked him about the outfield, and he said, well, there are 3 best offensive players, and where we are in the standings, I really can't afford to give them an off day. I will watch them, and if I sense that one of them needs an off day, really needs, then he'll do that. Worth hooks that one a long way, but foul. And so for the time being right now, it's the eye test for Don Mattingly. Now, the eye test with Stanton is he just keeps hitting homers. The eye test with Yelich is he's had a really nice 10-game run. And the eye test with Ozuna is he's hot right now as well. AJ makes that catch.
None of the 3 have shown a weariness or a fatigue factor that leads you to believe one needs a day off. But he has, there's been the offers in there, and then there's been the bounce back from the offers. One thing has not led to another with this particular outfield. And as I said, I don't see there even being a possible way, barring injury, that either of the 3 misses a game the rest of the way unless the circumstances change in the standings.
Michael Taylor now, the center fielder in this ball game for the Nationals. Conley misses down low. Bryce Harper, of course, still out with the bruised knee. Nationals are hopeful that his rehab process goes smoothly and that he is back in time to get tuned up for October. Taylor rips one into left. And we're talking about guys who have filled in the injuries, and Taylor's one of those guys. He's terrific defensively, and he's contributed offensively this year.
Well, up until that hit right there. So over the homestand, I think it's a 6-game homestand for the Nationals. 5 for 20, double, 2 RBIs, 3 walks, 2 stolen bases, and 3 runs. Certainly tells you what his game is all about. He's got the speed factor, he's got a little bit of power, and his plate discipline has been an awful lot better this season than I've seen him in years past. He's actually taking his walks now.
Here is Lobaton. Jose Lobaton caddying somewhat for Matt Wieters.
Got to be careful. Lobaton, 7 of his 19 hits. I see that batting average, 160. 7 of the 19 have gone for extra bases. He's definitely got some power in that bat.
See where that pitch missed from Conley. That's Sam Holbrook behind home plate. Now those are not bad places to miss, and Lobaton is not offered yet, but all 3 have ended up almost right in a line inside. That one catches the plate. If you're watching from home and zeroed in on balls and strikes, this is one of those ballparks where the center field camera is offset from the mound, which means inside and outside can be tough to tell. That one fouled back. A pitch that looks like it's on the inside corner. If the camera is actually directly behind the mound, you'll find it off that inside corner. We will sprinkle in Fox Box as much as we can. Bouncer to short. Rojas shovels. Gordon's turn is in time, and the Marlins get a double play. Nicely done there. Adam Conley gets through the second. Marlins and Nationals still dancing to a 0-0 score.
Zimmerman, the longest tenured professional athlete in the DC area, he also loves to give back to the local community. Just a few blocks away from the ballpark is Ryan Zimmerman Field, where Little League games can be played, and where I'm standing right now is Salt Line. It's an oyster bar that Zimmerman has invested in. Not only are you going to be able to grab a drink and a good meal here, but you'll also have the opportunity to take in the view of the waterfront.
Very nice. The waterfront, since this place opened, has really just blossomed with all kinds of stuff. This whole area down by the Navy Yards, high-tech buildings, hotels, townhomes, condominiums, lofts, restaurants. Really been amazing to watch as the district has kind of crept out around the ballpark.
Count 6 cranes just around the ballpark within eye shot.
Rojas rolls it to short. Turner throws him out. Now they'll bring up Conley. D. Gordon is due up third in the inning. Jeep Compass game break highlights commentary from around the league. Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson will be by in the 7th inning. They'll update you, I'm sure, on all the games involving National League wild card teams, American League postseason hopefuls.
Tigers up 2-0 over the Colorado Rockies, top 5 at Coors Field.
That would be helpful. Conley takes fastball in, and Strasburg goes 2-0 on Miami's starting pitcher. There you go, Tigres 2-0. Series, I believe, is split a game apiece. The Brewers have a 6-5 lead over the Cardinals. Cardinals traded Mike Leake out of their rotation to Seattle.
Pretty big trade when you think the number of years and dollars that Leake had left on his deal.
Which is why they were able to trade him and got through waivers, because a lot of teams didn't want to take that contract. Strasburg flips in a breaking ball and strikes out Conley.
you another look at Strasburg's curveball. 12-6, top to bottom. Conley couldn't pull the trigger.
Last night, Baseball America's Best Tools issue was discussed, and we talked about, you know, best this and best that. How about curveballs? Kershaw, Strasburg, and Gio Gonzalez. Those are all very good breaking balls. Gordon takes what looked like either a batting practice fastball or a straight change.
He throws his changeup pretty hard. That is in fact it.
Yeah, he doubled up.
As I said earlier, you look at the rankings, you start to understand why the Nationals invested so heavily in Steven Strasburg. As I mentioned at the very beginning of the broadcast today, he's only gone 200 innings one time in his career. You say, well, wait a minute, why would the Nationals invest so heavily in somebody who is, well, not necessarily been able to stay healthy and give you that kind of production that you typically associate with a huge contract? Well, Steven Strasburg possesses some of the nastiest stuff in the game of baseball. We showed you about that curveball. Statistically speaking, his changeup is even better. 105 swing and misses at his changeup this year. Only one home run allowed.
Count 2-2. Gordon lines that one into left center field, and it's caught by Howie Kendrick. 1-2-3 in the third for the Fish.
By the authority of the Miami Marlins. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and the descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Miami Marlins.
Steven Strasburg in the box. Trey Turner, Wilmer Defoe will follow. Adam Conley into the third. Nationals have knocked out 3 hits. Conley has a strikeout, no walks. And just like Strasburg fell behind Conley 2-0, Conley's done the same against his counterparts. That is a strike. Marlins and Phillies tomorrow night. Phillies have a doubleheader today. They played not a day-night, but a day-day doubleheader. Atlanta beat the Phillies 9-1. There's your time for tomorrow. Ben Lively, Odrisamer Despagne, 6:30 for Marlins Live. 9-1 Atlanta in the first game in Philly. Strasburg to center. Yelich is there, and he makes the catch. And Atlanta has a 2-1 lead over the Phillies, top 4 in the second game.
See your Marlins battle of Phillies on Saturday, September 2nd, and purchase an all-you-can-eat seat. For $30, you get a game ticket to enjoy unlimited Nathan's hot dogs, popcorn, peanuts, nachos, and Pepsi soft drinks. Popcorn, peanut, water as well. Buy your tickets today at marlins.com.
4 games with the Phillies, then the Nationals come in after they go to Milwaukee. Turner popped out back in the first. And a strike. We're talking about Bryce Harper and his path back. He's not running yet. He does have a sleeve that he's wearing on his calf. He had that bone bruise and a hyperextension of the knee. Turner is out. Dusty Baker today was saying is still not sure if there is a timeline yet. Harper said that he's walking fine. He is doing some exercises to strengthen the knee, but he hasn't tested it yet with running. The Nationals are going to be fine in terms of record. They're not going to lose the division. But obviously you want Bryce Harper ramped up, ready to go when the calendar turns to October.
They've got to get him healthy first, back to 100% before they can crank him up. That's really what it comes down to. We have a few weeks to make that happen.
Giancarlo Stanton due to lead it off in the 4th. And a scoreless game.
Depot lined a single to left on a 2-strike pitch. His first time up.
Wilmer Depot looks like he's going to be a nice player in the big leagues. And he was thrust into the spotlight with the injury to Turner.
I agree. The question is where. I mean, are the Nationals going to keep him around and say that he's a super utility guy that they might give opportunity to? And he has really filled that role here. He started in all 3 outfield spots. A bunch of games at shortstop and second base. Question you have is where is his future? I think you could use him as a piece if you were looking to trade or upgrade in other areas. And there's a few teams out there that certainly would love to have a starting shortstop with his skill set.
Lines it to right, sending Stanton back at the track. Giancarlo reaches up and makes the catch, and there's Depot again hitting it right on the button. 4th inning, Giancarlo sitting on 51. He and Strasburg meet again. on your mobile device. Fox Sports Go. Take the app, take Fox Sports Florida and Marlins baseball wherever you go. Download the app, Fox Sports Go. Giancarlo Stanton against Steven Strasburg. Stanton popped to first in his only at bat, and he leads it off in the fourth. Strasburg misses down low with a fastball. USA Today had a fascinating article about the psychology of pitching to Stanton or not pitching to Stanton. Little chopper to the left side. Rendon streaks across, gets it, throws, and Zimmerman stays on the bag long enough to get the out. And in that article, it talked about, look, you know, at the major leagues, pitchers are competitors. They don't necessarily want to pitch around him. They want to go after him.
Right. Was there any reference to the 27 home runs of 110 miles an hour or more in that article?
I don't think in that one, but
did you know that there's 10 teams in Major League Baseball that haven't put 26 balls in play at 110 miles an hour or more?
Yes, that's
how about that?
I was always told when applying for a job, make your resume one page.
Right.
I think Stanton would have a hard time doing that right now because there's just so many numbers that are swirling around these last 2 months and this season. 0-1 to Yelich.
Well, our guy Jimmy, he stumbled upon the one, three fly ball outs.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing. And John Chimchuk is our guy, baseball researcher. Now, I think the pop-up to Zimmerman may be counted as a fly ball out.
Well, you count it today.
Oh,
correct.
So of his last 22 balls in the air, 18 have been home runs. How amazing is that?
Well, and you know, here's the thing. I know in this was the great catch, and I can't remember who made the catch. Remember, he hit one about halfway up the wall in center field, and somebody caught it. Somebody jumped at the wall. I can't remember who it was. It was probably maybe 10 games ago.
And then last night, a sacrifice
fly to the warning track in center.
Yeah. Yelich bounced to first in the first. And Strasburg unleashes a 90-mile-an-hour changeup. Lobaton thought there were 3 outs. He was headed to the Nationals dugout. Here comes Ozuna. It happens to everybody in every position. Pitchers, outfielders, catchers. See ya.
It does. It happens to everybody. I admit to that.
Happened to you.
Yes, it must have.
It happens to me.
It never happened again. It's the funny thing about it is if it's bad enough when it does happen, I can guarantee you it's the last time it will happen.
Describe bad.
Well, I cost my team a run.
That's bad.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It never happened again after that. Boy, that's like, what's it, Aaron Judge, who carries his batting average last year around in his back pocket to remind himself. I did the same thing. I didn't trust my teammates in the outfield anymore. I only trusted myself. I just assumed I had to pay that kind of attention after costing my Dodger teammates a run.
So did you write a note to yourself and put it in your back pocket?
I did originally, and that didn't last forever, and I did for a few seasons, just to always pay attention to the scoreboard and don't. What happened to me in that situation was I kind of got duped by the fact I had turned a double play in my mind and it wasn't actually turned on the field, so I was accounting for another out. Always made sure I paid close attention to everything else that was going on around me.
That changeup is really something here this afternoon. Strasburg strikes out Ozuna. That's 3 outs. Scoreless game. Thomas Jefferson.
Got a little ways to go to catch up. Tom has moved into first, and Teddy's
Passes
making his
Abe
move
Lincoln.
too. He's into third place. He's passing.
Feels like we're missing a president. Where's Taft today?
And he's taking it to second place.
Maybe he was dropped from the Premier League down.
Wasn't
to-
winning enough.
Yes.
Teddy's making up the road.
And Thomas Jefferson with Teddy Roosevelt.
There's gonna be Tom.
See, no hijinks. Nobody fell down. He had a Screech, the whatever. What is Screech? An eagle? Screech is an eagle. And the Geico Gecko. That to me was the most entertaining thing about that one.
Where am I? What? Anthony Rendon. The base hit in the first. Connolly's been in a very nice rhythm. He's used his changeup as well very effectively this afternoon. Change speeds. Give up a couple of 2-strike hits in the first inning. Always keep my eye on that. So far, so good this afternoon.
1-2 from Conley. Ball in the dirt. Taft, Hoover, and Coolidge apparently were at spring training racing. So those guys never got out of spring training. They're apparently in mascot instructional league right now.
Clearly, they're not allowed to throw elbows. I thought for sure coming around the bend that there was going to be 1 or 2 elbows, but it just didn't happen.
Probably trying to catch that outside corner on Rendon. We got Zimmerman and Kendrick coming up here, meat of the order. And he just missed up and out. 3-2. Rendon hits it hard. Dietrich waiting on it. Fires to first high. And Real Muto makes a nice play. Back to Miami tomorrow night. 7 o'clock start, 6:30 for Marlins Live. South Florida Honda dealers bring it to you. Craig Minervini and Jeff Conine. 7-game homestand starts 4 with the Phillies, who are playing 2 against Atlanta today. Ben Lively or Grisimer Despagne. Here's Zimmerman. 2 starts ago, Adam Conley had probably his best start in a while. He was terrific. That was against the Mets. I was in New York, 7 innings, 11 strikeouts. Just walked 2. Miami won that ball game 6-4. He gave up a run in 7 on 3 hits. Last time out, San Diego got him for 5 runs in 5 1/3. Since he was called up, 4-2, a 3.81 ERA. He loses Zimmerman. This date in Major League Baseball history. Brought to you by Geico. 65, Casey Stengel retires as Mets manager on doctor's advice, ending a 25-year managerial career. 10 pennants, 7 world titles. Kendrick now. Zimmerman has 1 stolen base this year. It's interesting, the doubleheader times for the Phils and the Braves. Rather than play a day-night, it's a day and an afternoon game. The first one's already done. 9-1 Atlanta. Liner into right field. Zimmerman to second. Howie Kendrick continues to hit Miami. Atlanta leads the Phillies now 3-1. And that's in the 5th inning. Detroit 5-0 over Colorado right now. Top 6. That's good news for Miami. Now That's the other song that Worth has traditionally come to the plate with. Warren Zevon's Werewolves of London. Worth has popped out. And a strike. How have the Nationals scored a lot of runs? Well, this is one area where they've been very good.
Well, individually and collectively. Numbers, we've mentioned them throughout the series, and you see what they've done. 299, almost a 300 hitting ball club. Rich, with runners in scoring position.
With no Bryce Harper, Worth's return is important. And who knows, maybe the long stretch that Worth hasn't played will have him somewhat fresh for October. Worth is now 38.
Plenty of age, plenty of experience on this roster. Dusty Baker will have the opportunity, as we've talked about throughout the first two games of this series, to even use the Howie, Kendricks, Defoes into the postseason if need be. I don't think he's looking to lock himself into a, his 8-man, his 8 guys that he's marching out there every day with the idea of, okay, this is how we're going to win a World Series. I don't believe that between Kendrick and Defoe, Trey Turner, I mean, they're all going to get a ton of at-bats, but they're also going to get a few days off here and there so that everybody stays fresh.
Busted bat. Conley has to pick it up, fires to first in time to get Worth. That was a scary moment for the third base coach, Bob Henley, because the business end of that bat with Henley positioned for the runner at second flew over his head.
This was like a wedge. Doubt the barrel down the line, but the ball off the bat came to rest right in front of Conley, and in fact checked up on the grass. Conley got way in that kitchen.
So a great pitch is the second out. Here's Taylor, but the Nationals have runners at second and at third. And the Marlins are going to intentionally walk Taylor to face Lobaton. Taylor singled the left back in the second. Lobaton bounced into a double play. And so that's the gamble here. You load him up. You go after Lobaton, who isn't even out on the on-deck circle. We've talked about this year. That's one of the adjustments that lineups have had to make with this intentional walk, is the next guy up has to be ready to hop out and come to the plate.
Well, probably complicated for your catcher, though, who's busy putting his gear on with 2 outs, thinking he's a hitter away, and then all of a sudden, hey, you're up. Definitely been different for the hitters as far as the prep time. The intentional walk is in front of you. See if Conley can get himself out of this mess. Lobaton 111 on the season with runners in scoring position. He is not the guy who is picking up the big RBIs this season.
But of course, in loading the bases, all of a sudden there's more pressure to throw strikes. And Conley has fallen behind 2-0 to the switch hitting catcher. Lobaton pops it up. Ellis tosses the mask and makes the play. And Conley gets out and leaves him loaded. Still scoreless. Jeep Compass. By Hankook, chase down your passion, never halfway. And by your South Florida Chevy dealers. In D.C., pay no attention to those people on the roof of the White House. Steven Strasburg. JT Realmuto, Derek Dietrich, and A.J. Ellis for Miami in the 5th in a scoreless ball game. Strasburg has struck out 3. His changeup has been probably his best pitch of the ball game. Realmuto takes a strike.
Good swing of the bat his first time up, a double to right over the head of Jason Worth.
And JT at first base, that's snapped an 0 for 17. And it feels like every time he gets a, quote, day off from behind the plate, the bat comes to life at first base. And that's a fair ball. Down into the corner it goes. Realmuto around first. He's got another double. Realmuto hustling around the bag, and he's not going to stop. Realmuto headed for third, and he gets there. Terrific read. The throw from Kendrick came to the cutoff man. And once he saw that, Realmuto just kept going.
A tremendous read. You don't need your third base coach. Remember, we talked about it. The double to right, you got to pick him up as soon as the ball gets behind your right shoulder. Well, this is entirely in front of him. Howie Kendrick is convinced it's a double all the way, but watch the throw. He reads the throw halfway around. You don't have to worry about it. You can get a good 10 steps past second base, read that throw, and if it's a good one, go back to second. JT says, I got this. Throttle down. Great base running.
And a chance to get on the board here. Nobody out. Derek Dietrich, A.J. Ellis, Miguel Rojas all lined up with Strasburg facing Dietrich here. Breaking balls outside. Dietrich a fly ball out to left. Remember Realmuto, when he doubled in the second, the ball was in right field. He thought about 3. And Freddie Gonzalez had the stop sign up once Defoe unloaded the relay. So on his day off, in quotes, a double and a triple. Dietrich fouls it at the plate.
Another look at the Strasburg changeup and what it does to a hitter. See how it ends up at the end of the bat. See Dietrich's body, his upper body coming out towards that front leg as he's looking and needing to get extension to try to hit the baseball. Shows you how effective the changeup has been today.
Infield is back except for Rendon, who's even at third. If Dietrich can put it in play on the ground past the mound, Miami should have a run or drive something into the outfield. And that fastball at 96. Rhys Hoskins, everybody, back in the house tomorrow night. Nicely done on the sub text there. 6:30 Marlins live. Phillies and Marlins, it's a 4-game series. Dietrich stays alive.
Strasburg using a combination of the changeup and the elevated fastball. Fell behind early. He's got it now at even. Watch him drop in a curveball here. He has not showed him one this at bat. See what Strasburg chooses to do.
Rendon has backed up at third now. All the infield deep. And Strasburg hunting strikeout, gets one.
That elevated fastball at the hands. Or running action to the outside corner. Gets it by Dietrich. Certainly protecting against the changeup as well.
Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey guys, just a quick update on Justin Bour. He's going to spend the next few days in Miami participating in baseball activities. After that, he's off to Jacksonville to join the Jumbo Shrimp. He's going to play with them in a couple of games that they have scheduled throughout early September. If everything goes well, he could be rejoining his team. He has said that he wanted to get back out onto the field before the end of the season. Guys, that looks like a very realistic possibility.
All right, Jessica, Marlins certainly could use him. Here, the Marlins could use a base hit. A.J. Ellis looking down at Freddie Gonzalez. JT Realmuto has led off the inning with a triple, but Strasburg struck out Derek Dietrich. That's brought the Nationals infield in and ratcheted up this at bats. And Strasburg's out in front, 0-2. The elite pitchers, and Strasburg certainly is one of those. When they start looking for strikeouts instead of pacing themselves and just getting bad contact, it turns into a whole different ballgame. Look at that ball strike ratio.
Since coming off the disabled list, he has been locked in. Change of curveball have complemented the high fastball very well.
And he throws it by him. And Strasburg has struck out 2 Marlins, and Realmuto is still at third base.
Well, you mentioned finding that extra gear or having to do it on your own. Remember, the infield's back. You're right. So the only thing that gets him out, he knows contact drives in a run. He's got to either punch this guy out or pop him up. A.J. Ellis a little bit late, but fouled off the pitch before it. Right at the hands. What'd Strasburg do? He went up one level, picked up the strikeout.
And this allows Strasburg to intentionally walk Rojas and get to Conley. That's why those 2 at-bats, the Dietrich at-bat and the Ellis at-bat, were so crucial. Here's the escape hatch for Steven Strasburg. Breaking ball, Conley flips it in the air to left. Kendrick comes charging in and makes the catch. And the Marlins waste a leadoff triple. Steven Strasburg escapes, still scoreless. Showdown in Washington, D.C. Miami And Washington, Nationals and Marlins scoreless, bottom 5. Good sound effects. So the best opportunity for the Marlins gets by him. Adam Conley has been able to escape a couple of times. He left 2 on in the first. Left the bases loaded in the 4th. He gets Strasburg, Trey Turner, and Wilmer Defoe. In the air, right center. Well hit and deep. Yelich looking up, and it's gone. And Steven Strasburg has gone opposite field.
Strasburg came in with good numbers against Conley. 2 hits in his career against him. Lined out to center field his first time up. This time all the way out.
You talk about taking a game over. Strasburg with a runner at third and nobody out gets 2 big strikeouts and gets out of it, and then steps to the plate and hits one out of here. And it's 1-0. Well, he is a big guy. Strasburg goes 6'4", 235.
Let's take another look at the Strasburg swing. At the extension, stayed through it. He had his mind on that side of the field all day today against Conley. Remember, his first at bat, a line drive to center field. He wasn't up there trying to go deep to left. Sometimes you'll watch a pitcher do that. He actually had a game plan and executed it.
Trey Turner with the count, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Top of the order now for the Nationals. You got Wilmer Defoe and Anthony Rendon following Turner.
So far, this 3-game series has been missed opportunities for the Marlins offense and taking full advantage of what opportunities the Nationals have had.
Into the bat, Conley pounces and gets the out. The final Corona Light Marlins watch party is Friday, September 8th at Brewers Room Sports Grill on Bird Road. Marlins take on the Braves. That's a 7:35 start. Music by DJ Vertigo. Billy the Marlins there. Got giveaways, got prizes, food and drink specials. Go to marlins.com/appearances. Corona Light Marlins watch party. We told you that the Phillies and the Braves are playing a doubleheader. Braves won big in the first, have a 3-1 lead in the 6th inning of the 2nd. Phillies tomorrow night against the Marlins in Miami. The Yankees and the Indians are playing a doubleheader as well. Cleveland beat the Yankees in the first game. The Indians are streaking. They've won 6 straight. In the 2nd game, have a 4-0 lead in the bottom of the 1st. They've scored 4 in the 1st. Defoe muscles up. Yelich going back at the wall, and it's gone. And the Nationals have 2 homers and a 2-0 lead. And Wilmer Defoe hurts the fish again.
Well, he has put on a hitting clinic this 3-game series. Certainly took note of what he is capable of doing with the bat throughout the season. It's an elevated fastball, and man, oh man, he is just barreling everything up right now. Really drove one over Giancarlo Stanton's head. When you look at him in stature, you'd say, well, this is a little bit of a small approach. See Conley right there, he just dropped a no way on you. Well, he's got power from both sides of the plate. Yeah, you see him flexing that bicep right there.
5th home run for Defoe. The streak is at 8, and plenty of damage during the streak. Rendon is 1 for 2. The Tigers lead in Colorado over the Rockies is 5-1, bottom 7. There's separation in that wild card race because Arizona's been so hot lately. Pitch is out. Arizona's won 5 straight. They've kind of had the Dodgers number a little bit. Those teams play tonight. Arizona 74-58. 72-60 are the Rockies. Miami with last night's loss 5.5 back in the wild card. And Rendon strikes out.
Outstanding changeup from Conley. Featured it throughout the at bat. Good one working this afternoon, particularly against the right-handed hitters.
86 pitches for Conley. Zimmerman has walked, and he has a fly ball out. Miami will have the top of their order coming up against Strasburg in the 6th. Gordon, Stanton, Yelich, and Ozuna if anybody reaches. Funny how the momentum of this ball game, in a game that really had no momentum, right? I mean, scoreless game. Marlins get that triple by Real Muto to lead it off in the top of the inning.
Yeah. Watch how a team can snatch it back on defense, and that's just it.
Zimmerman into left field.
Times in the game of baseball, when you're not able to accomplish the obvious, what I mean by the obvious is driving in or scoring the run that seemingly is what I'll call it a gimme run, if you will. Get a leadoff triple from JT Realmuto. The Nats even played it as if, all right, you put the ball in play, we're going to afford you this run. They played back. They didn't bring the infield in. Well, Steven Strasburg took it to another level, found a couple strikeouts, got himself out of the inning, and then turned right around. I see this an awful lot in the game. Turned right around and put the Nats on the scoreboard. That's kind of what's happened in this series. I go back to yesterday's ball game, and in fact, it was very much the same stuff. Early on in that ball game, a couple of different opportunities for the Marlins to put runs on the board, and the inability to score those what we'll call obvious runs.
This could be a tough play. Dietrich bare hands and makes it nicely.
Nicely done.
And gets Kendrick. But the momentum has shifted, and it's all Steven Strasburg. A solo homer, Depot a solo shot, 2-0. Adam Conley bitten by first Steven Strasburg, and next Wilmer Defoe. Strasburg back on the mound. He's gone through 5 innings, and look at this. He's at 55 pitches. D. Gordon, Giancarlo Stanton, and Christian Yelich.
Well, he's pounding the strike zone with the arsenal. Look at the pitches per inning. Complete control. Changeup working, fastball working, curveball working.
Elevated fastball.
Just when you think fastball as a hitter, he throws a changeup. Just when you think, all right, I'm going to look changeup here, he throws you a curveball.
Gordon chopper out to short. Turner hurries it to first in time to get D. Gordon, and that brings Stanton up for his 3rd at bat. How has Strasburg attacked Stanton today?
Well, he really hasn't fallen into any type of pattern. Giancarlo Stanton hasn't had a whole lot of, I should say, a whole lot of swings at him. So last at bat, took 1 swing, put it in play, popped out. He's done what he's done to really everybody else, just work the ball around the zone with the entire arsenal. Hasn't just stayed away, threw a couple fastballs in.
'18 home runs in the month of August. That ties Rudy York for the Major League record. The all-time record for any month is 20. Stan, a sharp ground ball. Turner snares it, spins and throws. That's a nice play. Two ground outs to the left side for Stanton. And here's Yelich. Strasburg in 5 pitches has 2 outs.
Well, as good as Strasburg has been today, we've talked about the strikeouts. He's starting to pile up the ground ball outs as well. There are no home runs on the ground, Rich. He's been doing a good job of keeping it down.
Here's Yelich. So much has been written and spoken with good reason about the Los Angeles Dodgers. They are having an incredible year, one of the greatest seasons at this point of all time. But watching Strasburg here, you start to think about Strasburg if he's pitching at this level with Scherzer, and if Gio Gonzalez can maintain what he's doing. Then I guess you say, whose rotation do you like better? The Nationals or the Dodgers? Obviously, Kershaw is at the top for the Dodgers.
Oh, I like the Nationals better. There's no arguing the point, but you know, then it takes it back to the Nationals offense, and we know that they've got a great one. We certainly can go there with it. Dodgers are no slouches.
Zimmerman to the bag. Strasburg has been magnificent. 9 pitches that inning. It's 2-0. Talking about the Nationals rotation, 3 teammates in a top 5 ERA in the National League. This season, you've got Scherzer, Gio, Strasburg. The last time was 96. Now there's 3 Braves in 96, but look, there's 2 Marlins there as well. Kevin Brown, Al Leiter, the big 3 for Atlanta.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Incredibly talented. A couple of Hall of Famers on that list as well. Your point is a good one. You get Strasburg back, and he's pitching, which he has been all season long, pitching very, very well and at a high level. This Nationals staff is poised to make a run along with this team. But the X factor really in there is not Strasburg, it's Gio. But Gio's been, you know, his ERA has been climbing up until this season. It had been kind of going up, up, up over the last few seasons, and people had wondered how you were going to take Scherzer and Strasburg and who you were going to pair him with. Well, you had the answer in front of you all along. When Gio stepped up and started pitching the way he's pitched this season. We haven't seen this Gio since his first year in DC.
Worth hooks that one foul. Well, look, if the standings hold and the Dodgers have the best record ever and the Cubs keep winning, the Cubs are gaining some momentum, then it's Nationals against Cubs to begin the postseason. There's your National League West. The Dodgers already at 91 wins. They've actually slowed down a little bit lately. And there's the Cubs, a 3-game lead over Milwaukee. You saw that great catch with Craig. Keon Broxton saving that ball game today. That's where the Nationals are headed. It'll be an interesting series to keep an eye on. The Nationals and the Brewers. Marlins would love the Nationals to stay hot at least for another weekend.
You're right. Isn't it a weird situation, right? We hate you, Nationals, right now. We love you over the weekend, and then we're going to hate you at the beginning of next week.
Now, you're not speaking personal opinion. You're
I
paraphrasing
correct.
The Marlins.
Well, this is our fandom, right? That's what we're talking about here. We need we'd love a little help from the Nats this weekend. Keep playing well, and then, you know, turn it down when you get to Miami next week.
Now, we did not see that nickname in Players Weekend. The old, was it the XFL, He Hate Me?
Yes.
(3-2). Worth pops that up. That's a long run for Rojas and Ozuna, and it's Ozuna who makes the catch and flips to Rojas. Conley has it out. Coors Banquet, timeless moments. Dave Nelson does some broadcasting for the Brewers. Steals second, third, and home in the first inning of the Rangers' 7-3 loss to Cleveland. That's the old saying is you can't steal first. D. Gordon accomplished that in 2011.
How about it?
It's happened 51 times by 41 players. I'm sure it happened back in the Ty Cobb era a lot more. Cobb did it 3 times. Honus Wagner, when he wasn't posing for baseball cards, he did it 3 times.
Is that what he was doing in his downtime?
Yes. Going to card shows. Swing and miss. Taylor has struck out.
Right. Well, nicely done. He's
You know,
done a very nice job today.
I was just about to say, even though he gave up the 2 home runs, if the Marlins get 6 innings out of Conley and just 2 runs to this team, they have to feel pretty good about it.
Well, you asked the question of yourself. You say you're going up against Steven Strasburg. You're going up against the Nats. As I've said already a few times this afternoon, you don't place must win on any game in the game of baseball. I don't think that's the wise way to approach it. I know how it feels. You certainly don't want to get swept by the Nats. But if you got 6 innings and a couple of runs from Conley in a start against Strasburg, I think anybody and everybody would take that. You pair that with his history, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show. It doesn't come in with good history against the Nationals. Doesn't come in with a good ERA. Mentioned it. 8.22 ERA against the Nats in his history. So in fact, Conley has been brilliant if you're speaking to his history.
That one found Miami's dugout. Count 1-2, 2 outs, bottom 6. Getaway day for the Nats and the Fish. And Conley about to hit the 110 pitch mark. Had to escape 2 runners in the first, 1 in the second, bags loaded in the fourth. High in the air and down the line, and Ozuna tracking it. Marcel makes the catch, and Adam Conley goes 1-2-3 in the 6th. Nice ball game for Adam Conley. The Marlins trail at 2-0. .110 pitches. Don Mattingly, a little handshake. A.J. Ellis, his catcher, there to fist bump him. 111 to be exact. 7 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 2 solo homers. Steven Strasburg and Wilmer Defoe. Stay tuned. Coming up in the 7th is the Jeep Compass Game Break. Highlights, commentary from around the league. That's coming up here in the 7th. Steven Strasburg going to work. Strasburg gets Marcell Ozuna, JT Realmuto, and Derek Dietrich. So Ozuna climbs in. Marcell 0 for 2. And he pulls that one to Rendon at 3rd. Rich Waltz along with Todd Hollinsworth. This has been pretty impressive. Watching Steven Strasburg operate at this level today.
You're talking about swinging the bat or pitching?
Both.
Well, Strasburg has been on his game. He's had it working. The curveball's working. The changeup. Wow, what a great pitch it's been. We told you about those numbers. The curveball and the changeup. Both hitters hitting under 150 against both those pitches on the season. He's used them almost exclusively. A little spattering of fastballs here and there, but not a whole lot of hard contact outside of JT Realmuto.
And Realmuto's had a lot of hard contact. A double and a triple. Shortens the bunt. And is it coincidence? I believe it's 3 games now we've seen Realmuto at first base, giving him a rest for his legs that day. He's had terrific offensive games.
Well, whatever works. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the #1 reason or cause and to expect more of it, because his bat seems to be coming to life when he's over at first base. But to be honest, 10-19 is pretty good. Right?
With damage.
Well, with damage, right. And that's it. Sometimes it just kind of frees your mind, gives you a day off to think about your swing maybe a little bit more when he's at first base, and not so much with the legs. I actually thought JT might get a couple of games over at first base in this series.
Until Justin Bour comes back, and the Marlins haven't really been, as you pointed out, been getting great production out of first base. You think we'll see more of Realmuto with Ellis behind the plate?
Well, I don't see why not. I mean, I don't feel like you lose a whole lot with AJ behind the plate. He does some things a little bit differently, but he's very productive. Marlins are 15-12 in his starts. And if that means you're going to get a little more offensive production from JT Realmuto as those numbers back up, I don't know why you wouldn't do it. AJ's actually put together a pretty nice little run offensively over his last 14 or 16 starts.
Realmuto fouls that back. Strasburg going to 3-2. Haven't been a lot of deep counts with Strasburg. There's your box score. Gordon had a bunt hit. Realmuto the double and the triple, and that's it.
Well, it's the risk you run when you go up against an ace. A lot of times you'll hear guys like me, analysts around the game, talking about the approach against the best guys in the game. You don't want to see those great secondary pitches. What does that mean proactively? Well, we'll be more aggressive at the front end of a bat.
Up the middle, JT Realmuto started with the double, then the triple, now a single. So he's 3 for 3. Obviously, he's a homer shy of the cycle, but importantly for Miami, he's on base here.
Well, he's done a nice job getting out in front of certain fastballs and changeup as well, and able to find a hole right through the middle. 3 hits for JT Realmuto on a day where the Marlins have 4 total hits. Remember, D. Gordon has a bunt hit. So the offense has been JT, and that is all.
Derek Dietrich is flied out and struck out.
Now, you mentioned that the pitch count, and that's kind of what's I think happened with the Marlins, is that they've tried to be a little bit more proactive with Strasburg early in the count, because they've recognized and picked up on the fact that he's got a great changeup and a good curveball today. So they're looking for more early contact, which has meant early swings and early outs. Dietrich does have a home run in his career against Steven Strasburg. Ryder up in the bullpen for the Marlins.
Realmuto not a big lead. Dietrich a roller to the right side. Zimmerman cuts it off, flips it to short, and that's it. So the Nationals get the second out. The inning's still alive.
The ballpark pass and receive mobile access to every remaining regular season home game for only $29.99 per month. Finish for great matchups, giveaways, fireworks, and more during the final months of the season for less than $3 a game. For more information, download the MLB.com ballpark app or visit marlins.com/pass today. Some restrictions do apply.
A.J. Ellis now. Dietrich at first. Busted bat. Strasburg puts his foot out. Defoe scoops it up. Steps on the bag. And Steven Strasburg, 7 shutout innings. 2-0 Nationals. Our Jeep Compass game break. Back to our Fox Sports studios. 2-0 lead. Just the 4 hits for Miami, and 3 of those belong to JT Realmuto. Steven Strasburg to the plate. He turned this game around in 2 sequences as Drew Steckenrider arrives out of Miami's bullpen. Steckenrider, an outstanding rookie season with an ERA of about 2.5. We just heard Craig Minervini and Jeff Nelson go through Strasburg getting out of a runner at third and nobody out spot, and then coming up and leading off the next inning and homering to right center field.
Hard throwing right-hander Drew Steckenrider. Seeing him back out on the mound. This is his first appearance in the series. Last couple of outings, very good. Picked up 4 strikeouts in his last 2 1/3 innings pitched.
Strasburg fouls that one back. There's your Nationals box score. Defoe's homer in the same inning followed Strasburg's. And guess what? Strasburg has another hit to center field. It's quite a day for the San Diego State Aztecs.
Speed his bat up just a bit with an off-speed pitch. And Strasburg able to line it in center field.
Fox Sports Supports is proud to team up with Girls on the Run in their dedication to empowering young girls and instilling confidence through running. Learn more about how you can get involved by visiting foxsportsupports.com. And remember, if you'd like to donate for the relief fund down in Texas and Louisiana, redcross.org, where you can text Harvey 90999. Text Harvey to 90999. That's a $10 donation. Trey Turner's 0 for 3. And of course, you got Defoe on deck, who's done some damage today.
Breaking ball and a hitter's count. Steckenrider and the Marlins have got to keep this score where it's at. Here in the 7th, they're running out of outs to play with. Strasburg obviously still in the ballgame.
Trey Turner, who many feel is going to be the shortstop here for some time. With his speed and his bat, he's terrific defensively. And he walks. He could be, and he probably should be, still playing for the San Diego Padres. He was a young prospect that the Padres sent in the 3-way trade. The Nationals gave up Steven Souza Jr. to the Rays. The Rays gave up Will Myers to the Padres. Trey Turner, one of the prospects that came in this direction. So Steckenrider in a bit of a jam here. He's got Defoe, who is singled, lined out, and homered. Defoe a switch hitter, first time from this side of the plate.
Well, the Marlins have to be heads up. Defoe's had a very nice day with the bat, a nice series with the bat. He will drop a bunt down just about any time.
Well, in the 5th inning, he wasn't bunting.
Certainly was not. He was taking an elevated fastball at a, I don't know, right about the eyes. Out.
Steckenrider thought he had the corner. Florida Lottery in-game jackpot. Current hitting streaks. Odubel Herrera at 17. Brandon Phillips 13. And Rhys Hoskins 10.
Nice pitch to the outside corner.
Count 1-2. Oh, it just popped out of Ellis's glove. Yeah, long day for the Phillies. They were blitzed in the first game of that doubleheader, 9-1 by the Braves. And the Braves have a 3-1 lead, top 8. Marlins still have to deal with the Braves in a couple of series, one in Atlanta, one in Miami. Default won't go away right now. Steckenrider a 1-2. You've got Rendon and then Zimmerman to follow with Turner at first and Steven Strasburg out at second.
You really ought to believe Strasburg in scoring position now, probably station to station, but a huge run.
Nationals are one of the best in baseball at the big inning. Steckenrider trying to avoid that. Ozuna for a look. I think he's going to give it to the little girl. What do you think?
Right.
Yes. Way to go. Way to go. Way to go, Marcel.
She's got a new favorite player, right?
Don't throw it back. 3-2. Rojas has it, turns out there. That's a double play. And that's exactly what Steckenrider needed.
Well, that's a huge break on a ball hit very hard off the bat by Defoe once again. Great defensive placement. That's what we call that. Shot by Rojas goes to the back end right there. Easily doubles up Strasburg, who was trying to score. 2 big outs. As I said, you cannot allow this deficit to grow. This is about managing the 2-run deficit, keeping it there, and trying to make the most of the 8th and 9th inning. As you battle your way back in, you still got to deal with Strasburg.
Now Rendon, who had the big night last night, drove in 4 in an 8-3 win. Also had an RBI hit in the Game 1 win. That was 11-2 Nationals.
I believe Rhys Hoskins has a hit in both games of the doubleheader today, so that'll put that hitting streak at 12 games. Cooling off for the young man.
Turner's running, and he's got the bag. Ellis couldn't hold the pitch. Trey Turner picks up number 36.
A.J. Ellis tried to be pretty quick with this exchange right here. It cost him the grip on the baseball. Jump by Trey Turner. The fastest guys in the game of baseball.
T. Gordon said, hey, look, don't steal too many bases. Those two guys certainly will be vying through September. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock. Jess?
Hey, Rich. Anthony Rendon got off to a slow start in the month of August, but he is one of those players who has really stepped it up since Bryce Harper got hurt. You can see those numbers in 15 games since August 13th. Batting average of .314 to go along with 8 runs and an OPS of .884. And you mentioned those 4 runs that he drove in last night. This has been an impressive stretch for Anthony Rendon.
Hey, Jess.
Yes.
When we looked down there the other inning, and you had I don't know if it was yours, but a giant umbrella, a parasol down there.
I did. That's my little vacation spot for when I want to get away during games. I had a little tropical drink under there. I had some suntan lotion. It's gone now. Vacation mode is over. Got to get back to it these last couple of innings.
I like the way you popped up out of there.
I'll do that on occasion.
That's good. That's a fair ball. Down the line it goes, and that's going to score the Nationals' 3rd run. Turner scores. Rendon has had quite a series. 6 RBIs now. 2nd double.
50th double in his, call it an illustrious career so far. It's definitely on his way. A huge part of what this Nationals ball club does. Continues to produce 5 RBIs over the last 2 games. The 97-mile-an-hour fastball down the right field line and gets that 3rd run across for the Nationals. See where he is on the doubles leaderboard. Rendon has been a big part of what they do. It's funny how you have to share the spotlight sometimes with guys like Bryce Harper and Zimmerman, but maybe this is the year he starts to gain the national spotlight back just a little bit more.
I would think a big postseason would do just that.
Well, I think it's interesting. I'd mentioned pregame show today. I'm not sure everybody knows this, but he's actually leading, Major League Baseball, according to Fangraphs, in WAR. Wins above replacement, meaning he is essentially the most irreplaceable player in Major League Baseball right now. With a 6.3 value.
Who's the leading? Who leads the broadcasters in WAR?
That's a good question.
Would it be Nellie? Would it be Jessica?
Would it be you? Well, no, Rich. You've accumulated the most WAR value with your years of tenure. You got tenure.
Yeah, but you know, whenever there's a question about an award for the Marlins, whether it's historic or modern day, just go with Jeff Conine, and you're usually going to be right. So.
Yeah. Go wrong with Mr. Marlin, right?
Tapper left side. Dietrich on to first in time to get the outs. But the Nationals take a bite out of Miami's bullpen, push across another run. To the 8th we go, 3-0. AMC Nationals Park in the Costio River, and a 3-0 Nationals lead. Actually looks peaceful across the river. But inside Nationals Park, crowd of, I'm guessing, about 25,000. There's a good look from center field. We're not in that look. We are a little further north. Miguel Rojas.
Further.
Breaking ball strike. Ichiro's on deck. Then you got D. Gordon. Marlins would love to get Stanton to the plate this inning with somebody on base. Steven Strasburg, 74 pitches. That's it. And here he is working in the 8th inning. There's Ichiro. A walk and 5 strikeouts for Strasburg. Make it 6.
Well, he breaks out his slider. He hasn't thrown it much this afternoon, but well, here it is. Take a look. Breaks off the outside corner. Rojas unable to come up with a piece.
I know nobody in the dugout is thinking this, but the Marlins are going to see Strasburg again in the coming week.
Right. Well, that will be about making some adjustments. What you see today and what you think you'll see a week from now.
Ichiro takes a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. Ichiro with a pinch hit last night. 23 on the season. That's a Marlins record. And he's 5 hits shy of the major league record for pinch hits in a season. Strasburg's out in front 0-2. You got Gordon on deck. Oh, 2. That one is way outside. Steven Strasburg has not had a lot of complete games in his career. In fact, he's done it just once back in 2013. But he certainly is within reach of that here.
Oh, look at the strike ratio. It's 3-1.
Change up. Ichiro swings over it. And Strasburg now with 7 strikeouts. Tomorrow night we invite you to settle in with Eldorado Furniture. Game 1, Phillies, Marlins. Burisima Despagne been lively for the Phils. Marlins are hopeful that Despagne follows up a nice start. Six innings, a run, and a 2-1 win. Gordon rolls it into center field, and that's going to get Stanton to the plate to face Strasburg for the 4th time. That's good news for the Fish. The Rockies have lost. Tigers take 2 of 3 in that series. But in the wild card race right now, it's dangerous just to focus on the one team. You got to look at what Milwaukee's doing. They won today.
Rich, this team's only one big swing of the bat from being down a run. Overshift is on for the Nats infield.
Strasburg staying on that outside corner. That is a perfect spot.
Well, they pitched him very carefully throughout this series. A whole lot to hit, really. One home run he hit yesterday off Edwin Jackson's about the only mistake out over the plate we've seen.
They go in.
You see where that is. Even that's moving in off the inside corner. 94 miles an hour. Giancarlo Stanton an awful lot of credit throughout this incredibly hot stretch. He's been a very disciplined hitter.
Strasburg misses away. Home run chart. That inside lane that you talk about is 15 right on the inside part. Belt high.
He's shown some definite ownership there, the inner third.
Lobaton creeps back out. 2-1. Nope. Fastball. Strasburg thought he had it. Voices, or not voices, makes a sour face. That's a.
The ball is just out.
That's a very good call.
It is. He has.
Sam Holbrook stuck the call. He's had a very good afternoon behind the plate.
I totally agree. He has been on his game today.
See if they go back out there. They do. Stanton hits a high fly ball. Taylor is there, and he makes the catch. Frustrating day for Stanton. Frustrating day for the Fish. 3-0 Nationals. The Marlins bottom 8 here in D.C.
MLB.tv every night, every device. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live, plus get a free subscription to At-Bat Premium. #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details.
There's a look at the vast, expansive press box at the very top. With our booth higher than many of the lights here. You got Dustin McGowan out of the bullpen. It's been a good seat on a gorgeous afternoon here in DC. First pitch, good one from McGowan. It ties up Howie Kendrick. And he bounces out to the right side.
Well, good to see Dustin back out on the mound. McGowan pitched earlier in this series. One great inning, one rough inning. Gave up 3 earned runs. It's been a rough go of late. Last 3 outings, he's given up 9 earned runs. That's why you see that earned run average has ballooned. He's had a very, very nice season out of the bullpen, but Marlins would love to get Dustin McGowan right again.
Jayson Werth, an 0 for 3. This was an Adam Conley start. And for Conley, 6 solid innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, 2 solo homers. Drew Steckenrider gave up a run in the 7th. Werth cranks one to center. Back goes Yelich. Looks up. Ball's off the very top of the wall. And Werth will have to settle for a double. I don't know you can hit it any further in this ballpark and not get a home run.
Any more on the line. This could hit the top of the wall. It's going to leave a pretty good mark on the wall out in center field. I'll tell you, Jayson Werth, for a day off yesterday, you pair that with his first game back. Well, he looks like he is locked in. This ball was absolutely smoked off the top of the wall in straightaway center field. See how far it comes back off the wall. Mr. Yelich had to chase it down.
Werth gets a nice ovation as he comes in, and he certainly looks like he's in fine form right now. Alejandro De Aza is pinch running for him. Michael Taylor's at the plate. And McGowan throws strike 1 to him. If you're wondering whether Steven Strasburg's coming back out,
there you go.
There's your answer. That's the bullpen. They look rather relaxed. Now, some of that has been fixed with the acquisition of 3 arms. The Nationals hope Dusty Baker can line up in the late innings in the postseason. De Aza's going to take third base on a wild pitch. Brandon Kintzler, of course, the Marlins saw. Sean Doolittle as well. And of course, Ryan Madsen, who arrived with Doolittle from Oakland, is on the disabled list with a finger issue. Miami's infield is in. And Ellis has to suck up another slider in the dirt. Counts full 3-2.
Marlins have the infield in this 3-2 pitch. Try and cut a run off at home.
Swing and a miss. Ellis digs it out, looks at third, throws to first. Nice job by the veteran catcher.
Nice job by Dustin McGowan. That's a big, big out for the Marlins in this ballgame for Dustin McGowan personally, as we talked about. Struggling a little bit over his last few outings. Big pitch right there. Swing and the miss on the slider in the dirt. Trust your catcher to keep it in front. And A.J. Ellis going to walk. Lovatone. Get this guy. I'm not sure this is the right decision. The way he's been swinging the bat today.
No kidding. Strasburg line to center. Homer to right center. And had another line drive single to center field. Lovatone 0 for 3. And he has ended 3 innings.
Strasburg's game has been as impressive with the bat as he's been on the mound this afternoon.
He won a Silver Slugger early in his career.
He did.
That one pops loose from Ellis, and De Aza scores. That's going to be a pass ball.
I don't know what happened on the pitch. Strasburg checked the swing. I don't know. Just hit the webbing on A.J. Ellis's glove. Pass ball is to get all the way to the backstop.
Out at second base now is Lobaton. Over the middle, Gordon has it, slides, nifty play by D. Gordon. Really nice play. Saves a run and gets an out, but the Nationals get one more. Steven Strasburg's headed for his second career complete game. Brought to you by Southwest Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By the all-new Jeep Compass. And by your South Florida Honda dealers, hurry into the Summerbration sales event. Well, Steven Strasburg has been overpowering, striking out 7 Marlins and shutting the fish out for 8 innings. And he's trying to get just his second career complete game. 87 pitches, that's it. His other complete game, as you see it against the Phillies back in 13, 99 pitches to get that complete game. Alejandro De Aza stays in the ball game. He's in right field. Christian Yelich will lead it off. Yelich, Ozuna, Realmuto for Miami here in the 9th. Now Strasburg was on the disabled list for a nerve impingement. Since he's come off, this is his 3rd start since coming off. He's gone 20 innings and given up just 2 runs. That's a really good sign for the Nationals.
That nerve unimpinged. Certainly must have helped his breaking pitches because they've been absolutely filthy this afternoon.
Brandon Kinsler is just starting his routine.
I anticipate they're going to give Strasburg every opportunity to get it done this inning.
Unless he gets traffic on the bases.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is the Marlins are going to have to earn it. Strasburg's been good. I don't expect him to all of a sudden become unglued here in the 9th inning and walk a few hitters. That would be shocking. So don't look at his pitch count and think that's the issue here. Now if the Marlins are able to put a couple of hitters up there. Of course, JT Realmuto, a couple batters away.
Realmuto is a homer shy of the cycle.
It's the good news for the Marlins right now this afternoon. I guess on an individual note. T. Gordon 2 hits, JT 3 hits, and that's it.
Strasburg 8 times on the disabled list in his career. Of course, one of those was that lengthy stay for Tommy John surgery, which he had late in 2010. And of course, that 2012 season was a nice year, but remember they shut him down in September. Did not pitch in the postseason, and that was not to Strasburg's liking. He fought it. He did not want to stop. He was not available to pitch. They seemingly had that series against the Cardinals won. And St. Louis came back down big. Game 5 in this ballpark, and knocked the Nationals out of the postseason. 3-2. Yelich shoots that one into left field. And so a nice at bat by Yelich, fought off some good pitches.
Very nice at bat by Christian Yelich. Gets the, well, we'll call it that hard sinker is what it is. You see the tilt pitch away. It drives it through the hole, the 5-5 hole to the left side. Marlins are in business here in the 9th.
Yeah, and you can see that Mike Maddox just calling down to the bullpen. Kinsler up. We want to check and see if he's ready or close. Here's Ozuna. Marcel, a quiet ball game, but he's got a lot of company except for Realmuto and D. Gordon. Gordon with 2 hits, a bunt hit and a single in the 8th. Realmuto 3 for 3, double, triple, single. Strasburg gets a swing and miss.
That's almost like he's carrying around an extra secret weapon. Haven't seen too much of the slider this afternoon. It's really been the fastball, that changeup, and of course a really good breaking ball to go along with it. It's occasionally used the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th time now in the lineup, sparingly, the slider. You see the effect that it's having on the Marlins hitters. They're swinging at it like it's a fastball.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
Strasburg really pacing himself out here in the 9th. Been in pretty good rhythm, obviously, all afternoon.
Those are the weights. Strasburg with pitch number 100. 95 with a little something on it. So here is Real Muto. JT. First AB. This is a double. Fifth inning. This is a hustle triple. This one ends up in the corner. Real Muto kicks it into the air. And this base hit up the middle. The sad part for the Fish, they were unable to score him in the second after the double. The triple led off the fifth. And a single came with one out in the seventh.
Great to see JT Real Muto get the bat going once again. He has been the star today for the Marlins offense.
Yelich
nice
at
approach.
first. And a strike. The highest pitch count of his major league career for Strasburg is 119. He's at 102 here. He has only one complete game in his career. That was in 2013. At the knees.
Strasburg has been pitching at a different level. He's gone over 110 two different times this season already.
Good take. The changeup buried it. Miami scratching and clawing. Strasburg trying to get to the finish line. Kinsler's ready in the bullpen. Yelich from first. 2-2. Real Muto, a good take. That fastball really darted up under the hands.
As good as Strasburg has been working around the strike zone today, making pitchers pitches all day long. JT Real Muto has had a fantastic eye at the plate today. He's laid off some really tough pitches. Kick back even to his last base hit, got it all the way back to 3-2. He's able to come up with a base hit up the middle.
Here is the 3-2. Fastball, bouncer, short. Turner going to get the out at first, throws high, and is he out? Marlins will look at it. Zimmerman had to make an awkward leap. More often than not, the replay shows that the foot was on in plays like this. And that's just too blurry. Here's a better look. I don't know that you can overturn that.
Unless you're able to see the space. There you go. It was a good, great look.
Interior of the glove, he's on the base.
Yeah.
In the naked eye, it looks like the fielder is always off the base. But in the replay, that foot just holds it.
Well, you almost anticipate him coming off, right, when you see a guy go high to make a catch.
And the crowd's certainly trying to get Strasburg this complete game. Dietrich is 0 for 3. Counts 0-2. Well, maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the year that Strasburg is at full strength in the postseason and is able to lead the Nationals where they've not been before.
Well, hard to predict his health, but I'll tell you what, if this is what he's taking into September and into the postseason, my goodness. He is a 4-pitch monster right now. He has got it all going on.
0-2. Kinsler's been up for a while. Dusty Baker trying to get Strasburg to finish here, or at least giving him the opportunity to.
Lobaton out to give Strasburg a little breather. Catch his breath, regroup. Back after Dietrich on the 1-2 pitch.
If he loses Dietrich, do you think he stays out there?
I'll tell you right now, you look at his stuff has not left. It's still there. Maybe a mile on the fastball, but that's about it.
Dietrich rolls it right side. Defoe has it. Strasburg has his second career complete game. A shutout of Miami. A sweep for Dusty Baker and the Nationals. And the Marlins find themselves headed home trying to right the ship against the Phils. Back after this.